40 to 60% of front-end engineering time is burned before a single core feature is built. Most teams are forced to start every project by rebuilding the exact same scaffolding, routing, authentication layers, and layout alignment. This creates the senior strategy drag. Highly paid engineers spend their cycles manually wiring basic state logic and CSS resets, instead of developing the unique business logic that actually defines the product. Over time, this manual repetition leads to UI drift. The application's marketing pages, authentication screens, and internal dashboards begin to show mismatched border radiuses and conflicting color palettes. This divergence is a structural failure of the software's architecture. When components are copied and patched across different environments, inconsistencies become inevitable. This compounding inefficiency is structural debt, a tax on a company's profit margins that grows heavier with every new feature. Stopping this debt requires drawing rigid boundaries within the codebase to prevent UI logic from tangling across different layers. Many teams default to monolithic single-page application frameworks like Next.js for the entirety of a new build, regardless of the page's actual requirements. This carries a significant payload penalty. Shipping a React runtime to static marketing pages inflates initial load times and negatively impacts core web vitals. Most B2B software is actually composed of static content wrapped around small, isolated islands of dynamic data. Relying on server-side rendering for pages that rarely change leads to unnecessary server compute costs and ties the project to specific hosting providers. Accepting this monolith by default erodes search engine visibility and drains the profitability of early-stage products. Urban Broccoli eliminates this drift by enforcing a strict architectural separation between marketing and application logic. It operates on three isolated contexts: marketing, authentication, and the core application dashboard. The marketing layer is static first, optimized purely for rapid content delivery and search engine discovery. Security routing is isolated in the Auth layer, keeping login logic distinct from the heavy data requirements of the main product. The application layer is the only designated zone for complex interactivity and heavy state management. Strict directory import boundaries ensure that marketing code cannot tangle with dashboard state. These layers pull from a single set of shared primitive components. A button rendered on the public homepage uses the exact same styling contract as the one deep within the user settings. This boundary system allows engineering teams to extend the product without risking a collapse of the core structure. This layer separation is made possible by Astro's Islands architecture. Through selective hydration, the framework ships zero JavaScript by default and only activates interactive components when they enter the viewport. This results in perfect lighthouse scores, providing the specific performance metrics required to rank in competitive B2B search results. By serving the marketing layer statically from a CDN, the time to first byte remains consistently low, regardless of server load. These metrics support a strategy of product-led SEO, where high-speed pages capture and convert organic traffic at the moment of search intent. Predictable baseline performance is now a prerequisite for any software competing in the modern SaaS ecosystem. Urban Broccoli uses a centralized configuration directory as the single source of truth for the entire front end. Unified semantic tokens manage the design decisions across all isolated layers, replacing the need for manual file-by-file CSS updates. The built-in Component Explorer provides developers with immediate visual feedback on UI primitives without the setup time of external tools. When a brand token is updated in the configuration file, the change propagates to every layer of the system simultaneously. This system manages complex behavior like dark mode toggles and the injection of real-world data shapes into the component layouts. Rigid stylistic consistency enables programmatic SEO, allowing teams to generate thousands of landing pages that adhere perfectly to the brand's design system. Engineers are no longer required to write repetitive Tailwind resets or reconcile inconsistent navigation patterns across different projects. Rebranding a product is transformed from a high-risk refactor into a safe 10-minute configuration task. The user interface remains strictly decoupled from the underlying data infrastructure. Pre-wired patterns allow the framework to integrate seamlessly with Auth providers like Supabase or Clerk. Because the UI boundary is back-end agnostic, the front end remains stable even if the data provider undergoes a major update or is replaced. This decoupling supports advanced data strategies, such as using foreign data wrappers to query legacy databases while maintaining a modern interface. This approach protects the codebase from vendor lock-in and preserves the ability to pivot the architecture in the future. This architecture provides a direct economic advantage for digital agencies and solo founders. Production-ready deployment velocity shifts from an 8-week custom onboarding cycle to a window of under 8 hours. Utilizing a standardized infrastructure shell breaks the hiring and training loop that typically stalls agency scaling. A lean team can manage a much higher project volume, delivering enterprise-grade dashboards without the need for additional senior headcount. By reclaiming the time usually lost to repetitive scaffolding labor, agencies can significantly increase the profit remaining at the end of a project. Urban Broccoli centralizes the front end into a maintainable standard, converting development from a fixed labor cost into a scalable delivery model. To see this flexibility in practice, we can watch the system adapt to a completely new brand identity in real time. A developer modifies the semantic JSON tokens and saves the central configuration. The marketing, authentication, and application environments update their styling in perfect synchronization. The architecture ensures that every brand iteration adheres strictly to the core layout boundaries. The same primitive components now serve a new brand without a single line of custom CSS. This represents the mature, Year 3 architecture that most engineering teams eventually have to build from scratch. Technical founders and agency principals can stop hand-rolling solutions to structural problems that have already been solved. Adopt the front-end infrastructure designed to protect your margins and scale with your ambition from day one.